So, new tire model just came out on the Dirt Midgets today. Find out why I'm probably the only person who seems to like it. What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here. Welcome to another video. And like I said, we got a new tire model on the Dirt Midgets today. Now, this came as a surprise to me. I did not know that this was happening. In fact, my buddy Shay Paulo had sent me a message this morning saying, "Hey, are you going to test the midgets today?" And I was like, "Sure, why?" He was like, "Yeah, they're getting a new tire." I did not know. And so as soon as it dropped, I got on it. I had literally just spent like 16 or 17 hours the last 2 days building all new free setups for the pro late models and super late models. I'll put out a video for that tomorrow so you can get those. But I just stopped everything I was doing so I could drive this and get a feel for this. Now, a couple of things. First off, it doesn't matter what iRacing does. There's always going to be people who don't like it. That's just the way that is. That's just life in general, right? There are people out there that you could give $1 million to, and they're going to complain that it's in hundreds and not 20s, right? Like, there's just people who are going to complain about stuff. There's also a lot of people right now who don't like it, and the reason that they don't like it is because their setups aren't working, or they're just not used to it yet. They're not as fast, right? There are a bunch of different variables, and once they get, reacquainted to it, right, accustomed to it, they'll come around and start liking it again. Okay, but there are a few things with it that I'm kind of on the fence about, and you need to know the Dirt Midget. All right, before we started getting all these new tire models on all these cars, the Dirt Midget was hands down my favorite dirt car. It's my favorite car, period. Okay, I absolutely love the Dirt Midget. I've said this basically since day one, that out of the dirt cars, the most accurate in terms of setups and adjustments and stuff like that was the Dirt Midget. A lot of the stuff that I use in terms of setups are based in reality. I mean, there were setups that I actually used on real USAC midgets when I used to crew chief and mechanic and stuff like that years ago. So they were very accurate. There were a few things obviously that weren't. I mean, it's still a sim, but for the most part, they were out of, compared to something like the wing sprint cars, which I'm kind of just over with right now. Like, I think those are just horrible. The Dirt Midgets were really, really good. Now, I'd been looking forward to this new tire model. I didn't know it was going to come, and we got it, like I said, today. And overall, I like it. I think it's a step in the right direction, and that's the thing that I want people to really understand. I've done a couple of races in it, just hosted sessions. I've done a lot of testing and practicing, looked at a lot of stuff in Motec, compared data to, now to previous, last season, apples to apples, same track state, stuff like that. I have a ton of telemetry, so I was able to compare it. And there are some big differences. First of all, the tire is stiffer. Okay, so if you actually go to the forum, they'll talk about how it's a stiffer, tire. It's stiffer, but you can feel it a whole lot more. So with the midgets, although you needed throttle control to be faster than before, even on a tacky track, right, you still had to use some throttle control. It always, to me, felt like I was driving on sand. Like, it never felt like the car was in the track. No matter what I did with the setup, right, I could be the fastest car out there and winning the race, and my car still never felt like it was in the track. Okay, so that was always one thing for me that was really, really hard. Another thing is when it came to the slick, right, I actually kind of liked the midgets because you could go through the slick and stuff like that, and it wasn't like the other cars were just snapped loose and it was like you were on ice. Okay, so that was a good thing about it. So there was a lot of stuff that I liked about it, and there was a few things that I didn't. And now with this new tire, there's still a lot of stuff that I like about it. The tire overall, you can feel it has good grip. All right, in terms of side bite. All right, it does seem to have a much more aggressive slip angle than the previous tire model. However, that being said, when it comes to forward bite, not so much. So the forward bite on the new tire, and I don't know if it's the stiffer construction or if it's the new tread pattern, because they did say they put a different tread pattern on the car. I don't know which one it is, but the car does not seem to have the forward drive that it used to. Now, what this does is this makes it a very fine line between spinning your tires and forward drive being fast. Now, I was in a session a little while ago where there was a ton of people in there, and the vast majority of them were complaining. They were upset. They were not happy. They did, the car has no drive. The car has no bite. The car feels like crap, right? The car is slow. And then I watched a couple of people, right? Logan Rumsey, Rico Robles, right? Like all these guys who were like legit midget drivers come in and lay down, laps that were half a second faster than everybody, right? I qualified fourth in the server, and the three guys ahead of me were a half a second faster than me. Okay. So it can be done. All right. It's just a matter of feel and skill. Now, the one thing that I think is the best aspect of the new tire on the Dirt Midget, and this is something that I have said about the late models, about the modifieds, everything that has gotten this new tire model so far. The one thing that I like the most is that it doesn't matter what setup you run. Whatever setup you can put on the car that is comfortable for you and that maximizes your driving skill, you will be fast. If you are somebody who likes to stomp the throttle, then hook this thing up and make it to where you've got to be on the gas to get the thing to turn. And guess what? You can be fast. All right. I got a setup from a buddy of mine, Dustin Griffiths, right? Who if you let off the throttle past, like, I don't know, if you let off more than 25%, the thing wouldn't turn, right? Even when you were on the throttle, it barely turned, but it was fast, right? Like, that's the way he likes it. That's what worked for him. Great. And then I got a setup from a driver, Shay, on the 180 degrees opposite direction of what Dustin had, and the car was just as fast. So whatever maximizes your driving skill, that's what you're going to find to be the best and what works for you. And that, to me, is the way these cars should be. Can this tire model be improved upon? Absolutely, right? But it's, like I said, a step in the right direction. We don't have tire wear, but the tires do take heat, right? They do take on heat, which does cause them to lose some of their grip as you go throughout the race. This is not tire wear, but it's a close second, right? It's something that you do have to think about. So you can go out and put higher pressures in. You might be good the first few laps and then fall off the last few, right? Or if you have a super hooked up setup, maybe that makes the setup come in the second half of the race, right? It all just depends. And this is what I like the most about the new tire model. All right. So those are the things I like. Some things I think can definitely be improved upon. Are they going to keep it? I don't know. Okay. If you go to the forums, I'm sure right now it's blowing up with people who hate it. Okay, like I said, a lot of people who did not seem to like this tire model compared to other ones that we've gotten. Okay, I mean, there was some blowback on the late models, but it was nothing compared to what I've heard so far on the Dirt Midgets. Now, what I think you're going to see, okay, and I have no insight, I don't know anybody, all right, I have no clue, but I think you're going to see something pretty similar to this on the sprint cars, particularly with the wing sprint cars, because with the wings, I think you'll be able to get that drive, that forward drive, because you've got the wing, you've got the added downforce. I think it'll complement this tire model really, really well if they go this route. And I don't know if they will. Obviously, iRacing wouldn't know me if they tripped over me in the street, right? So, I mean, they have no clue who I am, and I don't know any of them, right? So, but that's just what I'm thinking. I think this is going to be a pretty, a pretty decent indication of what we could expect to see on the sprint cars. Now, obviously, we're going to have to wait and see on that. We've been told season 3 build. Will that happen? I don't know, right? We'll have to wait and see. What I do know is that these new tires, right, whether you like them, love them, hate them, whatever, they have made the racing that I have been in, right? From my experiences, the racing has been far better than before. You can have really, really good battles. You can drive around people. The car does not just snap loose and spin and stuff like that. Now, I do see people losing control, but that has more to do with the tire having actually more grip than less grip, which is something we're going to cover here in just a minute. We're going to go and turn some laps and show you a few things. All right, so like I said, overall, I think it's a step in the right direction. I like it. I do think it is an improvement. in a lot of areas. Yes, it might be a step back in things like, forward drive, but I can feel the car a lot more. And like I said, I think that's a step in the right direction. If we can get, something else built on top of this, improved in the future, right? Who knows when that'll be, but if we can get something like that, I think it can be really, really good for these cars. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of things real quick. Now, first of all, a lot of people, the number one thing that they have been talking about has their setups are not working anymore. There's a couple of things that you need to know. Number one, tire pressures, huge, huge difference. Tire pressures were always important on the midgets anyways, but now even more so. If you are someone who just ran max pressures, you don't want to do that anymore. Okay, running max pressures on a really tacky track, if you have a super hooked up setup, like you're running like 750 bars in the rear, 7.25 bars, and you can actually go down to those bars now and be able to make it work. 10 and 8 might be okay. If you're running stiffer bars, you might want to think about softer pressures. I have tried every combination that you can pretty much come up with. I've gone all the way down to the lowest of the lows. And I'm going to show you guys this. We're going to go out on the track here in just a minute. Right? I've gone 6 and 4. 6 and 4 on soft bars felt like crap. It was undrivable. 6 and 4 on stiff bars felt pretty good. So it's going to be one of those things you're going to have to play around with and see what you like. But tire pressures, especially on the rear, make a difference. Now, they do seem to make a difference on the front as well. And this is something that I noticed right from the get-go. Because the tire is stiffer, the car has a whole lot more action now. And what I mean by that is it's a lot, it bounces around a whole lot more. I mean, that's saying something. The midgets always bounce around anyways, but now it seems to be doing it a whole lot more. Especially if you've got your front end super stiff or you got your tires overinflated. If you're somebody who's like this on the wheel, that front end's going to skip all over the place. So your front tire pressure is definitely something you might want to consider changing if you are someone who's always been running maxes. I find 10 across the front or even 10 on the right front and 8 on the left front felt pretty good for me. Okay, so that's me. Like I always say, try it for yourself, but that's what I have found so far. Another thing, I've been running the stagger on the front just to get more cross weight. I've been a lot of the setups I've been using, I've been failing tech because I can't get enough cross weight in the car because I've been trying to run the car, geometrically loose, right? Right rear way out, left rear way in, and then I've been trying to, hook it up, on the bars and the shocks and whatnot to get the thing to drive, and it'll fail tech. So I've been running that front end stagger just so I can get a little bit more crossweight in the car to pass tech. Okay, rear stagger, crazy important now too. I mean, stagger's always been important, but now you can really feel the car driving around. And so your stagger numbers are going to make a big, big difference on your setups. Um, stagger, like I said, mattered before, but for the most part, I could throw 5 inches of stagger and run at basically any track and be okay. Like I could never touch my stagger and be okay. It might not be the best, but I could still be pretty fast, right? Because the midgets were always one of my better cars. That's not the case anymore. You go doing that now, you're probably not gonna be very comfortable. So stagger is definitely something you're gonna want to look at revisiting, especially if you're gonna try to run the bottom at a track, like Fairbury, for example, really tight corners, because you've got to get that thing to turn and rotate, and that right rear bites hard. Okay, it really does. So definitely look at your stagger. Chassis side of things, I have been playing with all kinds of stuff. I've tried the front end up, the front end down, raising the right front, lowering the left front, vice versa. Stiff springs, soft springs, easy up shocks, tie down shocks, a ton of stuff. The one thing that I can tell you is, like I said at the very beginning, whatever works for you, whatever's comfortable, do it. What I have found to be a pretty good base setup to start with, okay, is a base setup to start with, is 180 on the right front, 170 on the left front. If you go at 3.5 on your shock collar offsets, okay, and then basically just kind of adjust them, you can see here, to pass tech, right? You'll be pretty good. For your shocks, I've been going with a straight 4 on the right front, and then either a 3 or a 3.5 with a 4 or 5 on the left front in terms of the rebound. On the right rear, straight 4, and then on the left rear, I have tried everything from a 3.9 to I think I went up to a 5, as high as a 5 on the bump and as low as a 4 on the rebound. So I mean, I've tried a bunch of different left rear shocks, and some of them worked really, really well. Some of them felt like crap, right? And like I said, a lot of it has to do with driving style. So that's something you're going to want to play around with. On the fuel seems to be pretty much the same. I didn't notice any, difference in terms of, the burn rate on fuel. So that pretty much is, whatever you were running before, you can pretty much run again. Now, gear is something that is huge because the range that you have on the gear ratio is crazy. So before, we used to, when I first started, running the midgets and getting pretty good, I used to think, and a lot of people were like this, where basically you wanted to be hitting the chip right at the end of the straightaway. I've gone away from that these last couple of seasons and have drastically improved my speeds and my times. I've been going to much, much taller gears than what iRacing recommends. So iRacing would recommend, a 630 at Fairbury. I would run a 594, right? By the time I'd get to the feature, I'd have a 580. That now, you can do that if you want and be fast, or you can run a super short gear. What I noticed is that if you run a really short gear, right? So let's say a 630, for example, and you've got the throttle control, you can be really fast if you don't break those tires loose. But if you're somebody who keeps breaking them loose, right? Maybe you got a heavy right foot. You might want to try a taller gear so you don't spin the tires as much. So that's another thing that you're going to want to play with, okay? So let's throw a little base setup on here real quick. Let's just grab the iRacing setup so I don't have to sit here and build something. Keep in mind, this is supposed to be for like a feature. This setup, I can tell you right now, is probably going to be really, really tight. But let's try it anyways and see what we do here. And I'll leave the pedals up there just so you can see them. So you can see the car, doesn't even want to turn, right? Look, you can see how much it's picking up the front end. You can see how much the car was biting there in the center. If you're not right on the throttle, see that? Just push it. So you've got to get the thing set and drive the car through the corner. Also, another thing that I've noticed is that you don't get punished for using the brake. You can use the brake now and still be really fast. In fact, it's actually beneficial in certain situations. Alright, so as you can see, definitely more hooked up. I've done some laps on the track, right? So it's probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 15%, not much. But let's take a look at a fully 100% slicked off track and see the difference. All right, so we've got up our 100% track. All right, as you can see, she's slicked off. Now, one thing that I did notice driving it in the slick before is that it's actually pretty similar to the slick before with the old tire model. And what I mean by is that the midgets were never crazy out of hand when it came to hitting the slick, not like the wing sprints or the non-wing sprints or anything like that. Now, a lot of that has to do obviously with the lack of power and size compared to those other cars. But with the new tire, you can go through the slick and you can control the car. The thing is that you've got to really be good with the throttle. Now, this is something that you do regardless in real life racing. So this is something that kind of drives me nuts about every time we get a new tire model is people, they don't like it because they're like, oh man, I can't be on the gas. Do you not? Apparently most people don't realize this. Very rarely, okay, are you wide open in a sprint car or a midget or something like that, right? I say it all the time. Go watch Brad Sweet when he won the Kings Royal at Eldora in 2018 or 2019, whatever it was. His brakes looked like the sun, right? They were glowing. You don't just hammer down and hold it straight. You actually have to use throttle control, even on a tacky track. Midgets on a quarter mile, those guys were never just flat footing around the track. Ever were they doing that. So the fact that now we have to use throttle control is a step in the right direction. Like I said before, is it perfect? No, of course not. But it's a step in the right direction. You can actually feel the car now. You can feel the adjustments much, much more. And this is really, really key. Setups are all about feel, okay? It's not just lap time, all right? It's how the car feels, because the more comfortable you are and the more it fits your driving, the faster you can be. So this, like I said, it is a step in the right direction, okay? I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like it, but that always happens. If you just give it a chance, right, and just practice working on some throttle control, all right, and I say that all the time, so I know someone's going to post a comment being like, you always say that, but it's the truth. If you do that, you'll see the difference. Like I said, you can feel the difference, all right? So, anyways, back to our little session here. So we got 100% track up. Now, first of all, one thing that I have noticed with this is I'm going to have to actually sit higher in my car because the front end wants to pick up a whole lot more. So let's not look at my dashboard as much. Okay. So 100% track, we got the same exact, we're just using the Fairbury setup that iRacing has built, okay? And so let's just go through the slick first. You can see half throttle through the slick and I still have control of the car. Right? Full throttle through the slick. And the car is spinning the tires. But it's not like it's not like it's on black ice. It's not like it's on black ice, right, where it just snaps, okay? And that's been one of the things about the slick that a lot of people have had a hard time with, is that if you hit the slick, it was like you hit ice. That's not the case anymore. If you get out of the throttle, you can actually find grip. Now, does that mean it's going to be fast? No. But you can drive through it, which is really, really important. Now, if we go to the top, this is actually the thing that I like the most about it, is that you can now feel the cushion so much better than you could before. You can also feel the wall when you hit it. And that's pretty much it, you guys. You know, overall, like I said, it's like 100 degrees in my room. It's ridiculous. Overall, like I said, it's a step in the right direction, I think. I really do think it is. I think, you know, I'm of the opinion now that the wing cars are horrible. You know, I've always said that they need, you know, a physics update. But after these other cars getting these tire models, after that, experiencing these cars, and then going back to I like don't even like driving them. I would rather drive a fixed, you know, 358 modified race before I would, you know, do a wing sprint car. I mean, I think they're horrible. I really do. And with the midget, you know, it's just one more, to me, it's just one more point on the side of, you know, new tire model is good. Like I said, a lot of people out there don't like it. I like it. I think it is a step in the right direction, which is what we need. It really is. This stuff is not easy. It's hard. It's super hard. You know, for all of the complaining that all of us like to do, I'm guilty of it too. All of us like to complain about things that are wrong in iRacing. We do. Okay? But for all of the stuff that, you know, we find to complain about, man, there's a lot that is really good. There is. And we have an amazing opportunity to do something, right? Sim racing, which gives us an opportunity to drive cars that we would never be able to afford to drive in real life, right? 95% of us on the sim will never have the money to go out and buy a sprint car or a super late model or a dirt midget, right? And go run it. And iRacing gives us the opportunity to get an experience doing that. Even if it's a small fraction of the real thing, it still gives us a bit of that experience. And that, to me, that's awesome. And this tire model, like I said, is a step in the right direction. That's my opinion of it. If you think otherwise, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of it. Like I said, not everyone's gonna like it, but I like it. I'm really looking forward to seeing it on the sprint cars, both winged, especially the winged, and really the non-winged too. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope they do as well on those cars as they've done on these others, because I really enjoyed it. I think they're a lot of fun now. Much better racing, in my opinion. Like I said, it's just my opinion. So, anyways, that's going to do it. Now, really quick, do me a favor before I go. If you like this, please hit that like button. Also, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and head over to the website schoolofsimracing.net and click on the button there that says join the SSR community, and that'll put you in the mailing list, but also the SSR Discord, because we got a ton of stuff coming up. Like I mentioned earlier, I just built all brand new setups for the dirt late models, Pro and Super, and they're completely free. I'm going to be giving them away. They're going to be up on the site tomorrow. At the time of recording this, it'll be tomorrow. So you can get those, but you've got to go sign up. That's the only way that you're going to get them. You got to go sign up and opt in for them and stuff like that. I'll have a thing tomorrow when I put them out that'll tell you how to get them. But also, I'm building all new free setups now for the dirt midgets, because we just got new tire models, so all the old free setups are no longer any good. So I'm building free setups for this as well, along with the mods, the UMP and big block mods. So if you want to get any of that stuff or know when any of that stuff drops, head over to schoolofsimracing.net and get signed up on the website. And then you can also join the Discord server, which is, in my opinion, the best community there is in sim racing, hands down, bar none, and it's not even close. But I'm a little biased, so what else am I gonna say? But anyways, that'll do it. As always, thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, good luck, good racing, take care.